Chill it out. Chill it out.
How you doing this week?
Excellent. I mean, comparatively, it's night and day. It's night and day.
Good.
I feel like I could show him things, I could take him into situations and expose him to stuff that he never would have been able to, do before.
Sure.
I could take him to walk around kids and stuff. I definitely have questions.
Yep.
But, we went to the Petco today for nails.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Did you keep the thing on them?
Yeah, because he didn't have a bath. He said nails and teeth. So he just kept it on him, walked back there with the dude. I didn't have to tap him. I had already locked him in beforehand. You know what I mean? He walked in perfect. I handed off the leash to the dude. He walked with him. He started to jump and he didn't jump. Like he
Oh, sure. He thought about it.
Yeah, thought about it. And I was like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Went back there. I gave the dude some chicken. He gave him some chicken and stuff. Came back out 10 minutes later. No problem. He came out, offered me a chill, laid down, offered it to me. And I was like, this is magnificent. I can't. I never would have been able to even expose him to shit like that. Or okay, this is what I mean when I say that. We came out of Petco, walked around the corner. There was a couple of people like just sitting by a chicken place, chilling. Hey puppy, what's up?
Oh, sure.
You know what I'm saying? He goes up, sits next to them. He's getting petted by them. Yo, this is not that guy when he's not locked in like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Locked in, yo. Now I can expose him to all the stuff that we couldn't do before, so maybe he can start getting used to it. You know, we could, like you said, go into a store. We could go, you know what I mean? Anything basic. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
And so keep doing that because, I mean, your case was different because obviously he was social, he was just overstimulated, but it causes you to withdraw because it's just not fun, right? Is now that you can, so we went to Petco, Home Depot, Petco, PetSmart. There's a bunch of places that are just dog friendly because now it's like you have to kind of overcompensate to teach them how to coexist calmly in an environment that's got more going on and stuff.
We walked through the adoption area at Petco, all the cats all over. He didn't even look. He was right with me. I was like, this is not believable if you know him from before.
Dog,
Yeah, so
good
I
job.
feel you. Keep on exposing him now. Get him used to stuff now. Yes.
And then, just start having a life with them while you have them. You're not going to want to give them back, man. You'd be
Yeah,
like,
he's gonna be chilling now. It's like, well, I love the guy now. He's easy.
What's his number been typically?
I haven't gotten above, since I last seen you, 45.
Okay.
I tapped him once at 40, and that was when we were with we saw a golden retriever. And the golden retriever was really excitable, and he was looking, and I tapped him as he started to move that way. He didn't do nothing. So I went up to 45, tapped him again, he was right in line.
Yeah.
So that's the highest we've gotten. He really is in somewhere in the 30 range. You had him that one day and you didn't even get to 30. She walked him on her own once, which she does a lot, but he, what was it, 28? The whole time through the park?
Something like that.
Sure.
It went up and went down.
Gotcha.
You were absolutely right about the fact that you have to assess every situation is different. I can't just put it on 32 because we were in here and it was on 32. Nah.
Yeah.
I love the videos too. You said the same thing on the videos. You were talking about getting I forgot the name of the dog that you had. Maggie.
Moose?
No, it was a girl.
Oh.
It was how to get their attention, tapping them.
Oh, sure, Millie.
Millie, yeah, it was you and Millie, and the way that you were, getting her attention, making her, you explained how she was paying attention to something else. There were some puppies, and she was paying attention to the puppies. And then he tapped her, and he saw the thing working, and but she just kept looking at the puppies, so he turned it up. And he tapped, he kept doing that until not only did she look away from the puppies and look at him, she walked over to the other side on her own and sat there next to him.
Hey, Elias.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let's put these guys in the kennel just in case this guy gets loose, so it's not a shit show. Sorry. We got a dog here that's needing some special treatment, so he's got to suit up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're getting lots of progress.
Yeah, we got questions.
Yeah. So let's start with a quick review.
Yeah.
Just you walking. I'll have her handle them as well. Then we'll stop, have some questions, and then we're going to work on part 2 of Heal today. Okay? So go ahead and do a quick little walk around.
Ready, buddy? Ready, Jack? Come on.
Yep, forward. Just move forward.
Come on, bro.
There you go. Good.
You with me? Yeah, see you with me. Come on. You want to be lazy and sit there. Come on. definitely anticipating every turn. He's ready.
Yeah, we're gonna do something today that's gonna fix that.
Okay. Good.
Good. Just one more walk around. Good. Go ahead and slow to stop. Perfect. And then we'll swap handlers here.
What's that?
Let's go and swap. And here, take this with you just in case. So he has a target for it. So he has a target. And then just be mindful when you're putting that muzzle over, still keep the prong. Because if you let the prong go and he does move forward and he slips from your leg, he's gonna have all slack for Corey. So you're just doing like we did with Bane and keeping them tethered. Okay? I don't think he's gonna do shit, but what's up? That's for Corey. Going forward.
He's looking a little bit now.
Yeah, go and keep forward. Good. So with like the looking and stuff, it's okay as long as he doesn't get over engaged, you know? So like when we walk with him, he's not gonna do this forever. He's gonna take in the environment, which is okay. But if he's looking at a squirrel to the left, but then starts to veer off your leg to the squirrel, that is not okay.
Yeah. We were kind of talking about that, like what amount of looking is okay?
Yeah. So like my dogs, they'll sniff the ground, they'll look all around and stuff, but they stay on my hip.
They're not going away from you.
Yeah, so that's why I allow them to do that. Some dogs you can't allow. Every case is different. So like, go ahead and slow to stop. I just look at it as kids, you know? So, and this is okay for now. So I earned a lot of my stuff growing up, which is kind of the same thing that I do here with the dogs, is I go, if the dog is tight on your hip and he wants to sniff the ground, but he maintains that, like that positioning, I'm cool with it. Because his obedience and how good it is allowing me to give him that privilege. Yes. But if the dog starts to catch the scent and then veer off my leg and completely just bypass me, we got to correct that. Okay?
He's not paying attention, you know.
Exactly. So I go, okay, this is a dog that I can't allow to sniff while they're in heel. You know, same thing with the looking. There's some dogs that we can let look at dogs, and there's some dogs that can't look at dogs. We just go by what they give us, okay? And it's all based on behavior. You listen well and you behave well, I can give you more leniencies. But if you start to slip up, we can take those leniencies back, okay? So all this looks good. What were your questions?
Okay, so right now we're good. We're getting good at just ignoring distractions. What happens? One time we were over by her house up by Wells Park, and there was like a stump, and we went to move out the way, and like him to sit on the stump for the people to pass by. The people passed by no problem, but they had a puppy, and they weren't tripping on letting the puppy go everywhere. So the puppy comes up to him. He didn't know what to do with that, and I was like, I didn't know what to do with that. I was like, okay, well, but he didn't get off the stump. He sat off the stump, but the puppy was all up on him, and he was like, "Grr, roof, I don't know what to do." And so I didn't want to just tap him because I didn't really know how to handle that. Essentially, and then the puppy went off and he stayed on the stump. So we were good. But the question is, what happens if somebody approaches him, like, or dog just comes up to him and now they're in his grill? Like, is he supposed to, I guess like you just explained, if he's not moving, he can go ahead and sniff him and look around. I guess that's the same thing happened to me on a dog beach. I took him to Montrose Beach, just to walk, just thinking we're not gonna pay attention to anything. And he was great, until the dog ran up to us. Then he was, oh shit, am I in play mode? Am I free? And you know what I'm saying? I went to turn away and tapped him, and he was with me. And I guess I didn't know how to handle the situation with talking to the people and people running up to him and everything. Like, I need to know how to maintain, I just don't want, I want him to know what to do when I'm correcting him, not me just tapping
Pressing the
and
button
not,
forever.
what's the correction, you know?
Sure. So go ahead and give a tap here. Tap. Let's go down. We're at 45.
32.
Let's go down to 18. And you're going to lightly pull up on your collar once you're ready. And then tap.
And then tap.
Correct. Lightly up and then tap. 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 A little bit more of a pull up. Tap. 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 Let's go 25. Tap. Keep your pressure up. Tap. 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 Wait a second. Yeah. Now relax your leash and take a step so you're next to him. I'm gonna have you shorten that, slack a little bit. Perfect. Okay. So real quick before we touch on that, he was getting anxious.
Yeah.
Right? So right here, I don't want you to think that we use sit to stop the anxiety. Okay? What I did was, it was the pressure, but I was finding an excuse to use the pressure. So I go, I don't want you in a down, I want you sitting up. Right? So what, 45 was too high, 18 was too low, 25 worked because by that third tap, he finally popped up. Okay? So now if he stays quiet for the next 10 minutes, then I know 25 was the appropriate number. Okay? So what he does in response is what lets us know if it was correct. It should be fairly obvious change in behavior, right? So when we're doing the healing exercise, it was obvious it was working because you're happy with the results, right? Same thing here. He's getting anxious, so when I correct him, if I'm at the appropriate number, he should just be quiet for the rest of the time because that's what I'm countering, okay? So if he's in the heel, unless you've said break, his job is to maintain the heel. I don't care what's going on. So you could be in the middle of the dog beach on Montrose with the dogs running around with him in the heel, and he's walking through groups of dogs. Okay, now if they sniff him and he turns like this to sniff him, but he keeps walking, technically it's okay because he's still on that hip. Okay, if he starts to lag because he's like, whoa, I want to smell this dog really, really bad, and you keep going, tap, 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 okay, I'm coming, back to the hip, pressure turns off, right? If he's sitting at your side like this, and I approach my dog, and they're sniffing him in the face, or someone goes, hi, oh my God, look at this cute dog, hi, can I pet him, hi, how are you? All this is okay, because he's keeping that butt in the ground. Yeah, attaboy, right. So that's self-restraint.
Yes, yo, it feels so good watching it roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not against the excitement or the positive energy. Just want that butt to maintain to keep on the ground, okay? Now I put energy into him. So go ahead and just give him a tap here. Okay, and then relax, wait a moment. Good, because now I put energy into him because he was technically quiet. Then when I start going in and I stimulate him, what you've just done is, and relax, is you've taken off the residual. Because I left him, yeah. Then I walked away. And then he's like, well, I still got, what do I do with this? And you're like, chill. Okay, so that you just corrected him and said, I disagree with the anxiety or the overstimulation, right? And he goes back to what he was doing, which is just maintaining that sit position, okay? So with the puppy, if you were at a stop and this was happening, if he's like, what the hell do I do here? That's more behavior. He's not being disobedient. Does that make sense? He's like, this puppy's energy is making me uncomfortable. I'm gonna jump on this stump. So technically, it would be on us to correct or remove the puppy so he doesn't have to go on the stump.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's where I tell people to fuck off. Okay?
Like the lady when we were by the river, I was like, we're training, and she just let her dog get closer and closer. I'm like, we are training our dog.
So a couple of things.
You weren't bashful. You said it immediately when she was walking up. Like, oh, we're training right now.
So he did good. He stayed by me, but the dog came and like sniffed him really close, and he looked up at me like, what do I do here?
Yeah.
And I was okay with that.
And it can create distrust, just so that you're aware, because he's looking for something to happen. Like it's either looking for permission, or he's looking for you to address the situation. Okay? So me, and it's gonna happen, first thing I do if I say, so I don't say we're training, you can use it, a lot of people do respect it. I usually just go no. And I might even just say I don't want to meet your fucking dog. Because People will respond to rudeness. They will bypass politeness.
They did, she kept her closer.
She
She didn't get the point.
Yeah, she didn't really.
Yeah, and I've even like, I'll stick out my foot like this, because then people go like, what? Why is there a foot out? Like there's something to disrupt the brain, because I'm just like, if you're not listening to me, right? And then I move the dog back, I'm like, I know, don't want to meet your dog, right? And then the screwed up thing is, if Jack were to have done something, guess whose fault it is? In their eyes. It's your dog.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's why I've had people's dogs be attacked by off-leash dogs, and the person gets anxiety when they see dogs, because now they're like, oh, is there going to be a dog fight? You know, their dog now has reactivity issues. Like people don't understand. So that's why I'm rude about it, because I've done this for 10 years. I used to be polite, but now it's like people bypass polite, or they go like, oh, I'm great with dogs, or I'm like, oh, but my dog's friendly. Like, it doesn't matter about your dog. The answer is no. Right? So I'm either super, super blunt, or that's where I just swear. Because then they're like, oh, you're an asshole. I'm like, yep. Yeah. But really it's vice versa, because they didn't listen to the hey, we're training.
Right,
Yeah. So, and you're going to get people. I had a lady whose dog attacked my Chihuahua. He was fine. We were at the dog park. She took her dog completely, didn't even say sorry or anything. Didn't even ask my dog was okay, nothing. So I kept an eye on her, and I was with the client. So I kept an eye on her dog, because I figured he was going to come back. Sure enough, I see him walking straight to my Chihuahua. So I would walk right there and kick him right here, and the dog jumped back. The lady blows up. Fuck you do to my dog? Kick my dog, right? Yep. Yep. So I was just like, nah. I'm like, we're not having that conversation right now, right? So then, but that's going to happen. But I don't care, because I knew I wasn't in the wrong. You know, and turns out that lady had several complaints about her dog attacking dogs.
What a surprise.
Yeah. So, you know, it's going to happen. What I would suggest is make your decision of how you're going to approach it, because once you're in that moment, you already know.
Yeah.
You know, so I know I'm rude, and I'm blunt, and I'm curt, because I've had experiences where people, with both clients and myself, bypass politeness. I was working with a client, dog was muzzled at Oz Park. Guy just walked up with his dog and caught us off guard. And his dog was right to the other guy's dog with the muzzle on. And he's like, oh, can they say hi? I'm like, and the girlfriend was like, don't you see the muzzle?
People are scared.
So, all right, so just take that into account. But good. So, but does that answer your question? If he's in command, he has to maintain it, right? Now, let's say he's sitting like this, and it's his buddy. Break. Boom. Now you can engage. Okay? Yep. So now you're giving permission, because if he's sitting there, like they can smell each other, just like right now when I went to go pet him and stuff, and he was like happy and all that. That's good. Just don't get up from that sitting position, right? But then we had residual. We correct that. Nope, you're not going to do that. Okay, and he maintained that position. So he kept this, but learned. Okay, you're disagreeing with my anxiety. Okay. Other questions?
That's dope. I love how you said side performance. How are we gonna address this walk right now? We're not trying to deal. We're not trying to deal. We already know that. So it's not like we're in the situation trying to figure it out. I love that.
Same thing with, and people don't think about this, but you want to think about what you would do if an off-leash dog attacked your dog.
Wait, what'd you say?
If an off-leash dog attacks your dog. Okay, you want to already have this stuff in your head, because it's like, wait a moment. It's like having a fire escape plan, practicing it, and hoping there's never a fire. Okay, so it's just something to think about. We won't worry about it today, but if you have questions on that, more than happy to educate. I got videos on it too on my YouTube. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add the verbal cue of heel. So very simple for the first part is you're gonna cue the word heel first, and then you're gonna move forward with your left leg first. Okay, so in more advanced training, left leg means walk with me, right leg means don't move. Okay, and the way we teach this is simply now, every time you say heel, just always move with that left leg. So we're gonna start conditioning, okay? And he will learn to differentiate. So like later on, I've had clients, we've taught to stay, they move like this, but then they forget. They'll say stay and they move like this, the dog heels. Now they're confusing the dog, right? Because dogs will go more by your body language than they will go by what you're saying, okay? Because remember, they don't know what this stuff means. He's just associating. When you say heel, I'm here. He doesn't know by definition, heel means right shoulder, left hip, match my pace, sit when I stop. Okay, we're conditioning. that stuff. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna have you just do a couple of reps of heel, moving forward with your left leg, walking for a bit, coming to a stop. He should automatically sit. Wait a moment, heel, repeat, move forward with that left leg. Okay, we're gonna do that a few times, then we're gonna swap handlers. Is that all cared for? Is all taken care of? You're good.
Heel.
All right, I will see you tomorrow. And give slack here. There you go. So we shortened it for when we were stationary. Yep. And then we give it back once we start walking. And go ahead and slow to a stop. Good. Heel, left leg.
Heel.
Good turn, tap. So there he got a little distracted, right? Go ahead and slow to a stop again. Good. Heel, left leg.
Heel. Should I be like saying like good boy or like any of that kind of stuff? No.
Slow to stop. So for a dog like Jack here, that's okay for now. Go ahead and just turn so he's on your left. We're gonna do 2 more. He's already an easily stimulated dog. He's already naturally operating like at a higher level. He's already stimulated.
Oh,
So
yes.
good boy
Okay.
just stimulates more. So the problem you're having before when you were using food and all the talking stuff was more stimulation. And here we're de-escalating and
Yeah.
teaching him how to be passive and focused, right? So tap, lightly up, tap, tap, and relax. Good. Is that would be
That's a good tip. Yeah.
that would be counter, okay? So like let's say, if you want to say good or add in good boy, you want to be like passive, positive energy. Good. Good boy, right? But I wouldn't be like, good boy, yeah, good job, yeah, right? Because then you just,
Yeah.
jack
That
them up
makes
again,
sense.
okay? When we're looking to create that energy, we use that energy. When we already have that energy, I don't use that energy, okay?
That makes total sense.
Heel, left leg.
Heel.
And then slow to stop. Good, 1 more.
Heel.
Good, and slow to stop. Excellent, let's go ahead and pass off switch handlers here. Okay, you're gonna do the same process, heel and forward with your left leg. Heel. Good. Good. Heel.
Heel.
Good.
Heel.
Good turn. Good. 2 more.
Heel.
So easy to listen to you.
And last one.
Heel.
Good. And then go ahead and do, I'm gonna have you just come up a little bit and then turn so you're facing that way. There you go. And then slow to a stop. Facing towards the white wall. There you go. Perfect. All right, that's the easy part. So now we're gonna work on turns. So we have 2 major turns. We have the crossover turn and the pivot turn. Crossover turn is when you're turning left, crossing over jack. Pivot turn is technically the turn exactly that we did last week, except this turn is going to be communicated. Okay, So for Jack, when he gets ahead of you, even if it's 2 years from now, you will always do that abrupt pivot tap to bring him back to your hip, okay? Because that's a correctional turn. When we do a communicated turn, it's because he's doing well, he's walking with you. It would be unfair to just pivot off and not cue him of what's going on, okay? So what we're gonna do is we'll start with the crossover turns. If we use this kind of square as an example, is when we're walking, we of course want to slow down first to cue something's changing, at least 3 steps, more is fine. You're gonna cross with our right leg like this, 90-degree cut. Okay, so if we use the square here as a guide, right leg, left leg, and cut it again with the right leg, now we're going back the opposite way. Slow down, right, left, right. Now I'm going back this way, okay? So if you look at a sidewalk, a typical, not the wide sidewalks, but like the normal ones, if you do this correctly, you would stay within the width of the sidewalk, okay? Because it's a 3-step process. You're leading with the right leg, 1, 2, and on 3, you're cutting in. Now we're going back the opposite way. Okay, so if you do it correctly, you should be within the sidewalk. If you end up someone's driveway or grass, probably took too many steps, okay? I like to use the panels, right? Because the sidewalks are usually the squares. So in the beginning, until you get this down, it's a nice little visual to like use these cracks in the sidewalk and just follow, okay? The next thing is gonna be the pivot. This one's going to the immediate right. And and I was watching you guys, you naturally do this, but once I tell you to do it on purpose, people tend to screw up. So you're gonna slow down and you're gonna go left, right, left. Now we're going back the opposite way, okay? So left, right, left. Now the opposite way. So you should stay within a straight line. So for the crossover turn, the reason why we lead with the right leg is because if he's right there on your left leg and you try to turn, you're gonna either trip over him or kick him out because he's too close. So when you slow down and you cross like this, Jack will naturally pivot or stop because he doesn't want to walk into you. And then once you turn, he'll come into your hip, okay? So we lead with the leg opposite to the turn to give space and time for the dog to respond. For the pivot turn, what you'll see is as you step out, and I saw it happen a couple times already, is he's gonna naturally just curve around you. And then when you come back, we're going the opposite way. So we're using body language to communicate. We're not using the e-collar here, okay? E-collar tells Jack, stick on the hip, pay attention. Your body language is what's communicating. So think of it as your blinkers when you're driving, right? So when we're driving, we slow before we stop, we slow before we turn. But we also flash our blinkers to let people know which direction we're going. Same thing here, your legs are your blinkers, okay? So we slow down first, give him the opportunity to match us, then go into the turn. If I slow down and I'm gonna cross over, but Jack keeps going, what's the problem?
If I cross over, I'm behind him and run into him.
Yes.
I need him to be paying attention, but if he's ahead of me, I have to pivot to get his attention back.
Boom, back here, right? Because what happens is most people get caught up in what they were intending to do. So they'll slow down, the dog will keep going, and they'll either pull the dog back or they'll try to step around the dog, okay? It looks very awkward and it feels very awkward because we're trying to compensate. So if I slow down, I did my job. He's still going, turn, tap, boom, back on the hip again, okay? So the pivot turn is always in effect. If I come to a stop, or if someone comes to a stop, a lot of clients, when they stop at a red light, dog goes ahead, they'll pull the dog back. And I go, you got to pivot there. Yeah. And they go, why? I'm just at a stop sign. I get that. But your dog should stop with you.
He's supposed to be on top of you. He's supposed to be paying attention.
So if he goes, turn, tap, boom, back on the hip. That correction is always in effect. Jack's job is to be exactly where he is right now. Whether you're moving or whether you're stationary, right shoulder to left hip, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work in batches. We're gonna first start the crossover turn. That tends to be the most difficult for people. Once we get those down packed and they're easy, we're gonna move to the pivot turns. Then we're gonna start blending them together, okay? So the only time you remote is when Jack gets ahead of you, but you will always be pivoting when you do so. All the turn stuff, there's no pulling, there's no tapping, it's all just communication with body language, okay? So let me have you give them a little bit more slack. And then when you're ready, you're gonna cue heel.
Heel.
And slow. And get ready to time it with that right leg. Okay. Yep. Right, left, right, like that. Perfect.
It helped a lot to use the square.
Yep. Right, left, right, just like that. Okay, see how he's kind of looking at your legs when you do that? Right, left, right. There you go. Let's do a few more. Mm-hmm. Just power through.
That one was a little off. I think it's because I didn't slow down. Slow down. He said slow down at least 3 steps, maybe more. And then I go like this. Boom, boom, boom.
Like that. Let's try 5 more. Good. Good. 3 more. Good. 2 more. Good. Last one. Is that Doug? Okay. Good. And slow to stop. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is the pivot turn. That's going to be the left, right, left to the immediate right. Go ahead.
Heel.
Good.
Stop the momentum with the left foot. Yeah.
There you go. Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Just a couple more. Good pivot, and last one. And slow to stop. Perfect. So now we're gonna blend those turns together. You pick and choose. Okay? As long as your communication is clear, there should be no need for a remote unless Jack is getting out of position. Okay? Go ahead.
Heel.
Good. Good. Good.
This is great. This is great. I was a dancer.
Oh.
So that's what I'm feeling like I'm cueing him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a routine, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes. This is great.
One of my trainers here is a dancer too. It's funny though, because he keeps screwing up the leg movements.
What's he trying to do? Right.
Go to slow to stop there. So I actually use dancing as well as a analogy. So like I did salsa for a few classes, and it's a 2-person, it's a conversation, and an experienced dancer can make an inexperienced dancer look good because they know how to lead well, put pressure, and using kind of body language as a means of communication, right? Same thing here. So people are always amazed. They're like, oh wow, my dog's so smart. Like they're doing the turns with me. I'm like, no, they already know this. You're just talking their language now.
Yes. Nobody knows how to talk to them like that with their body.
Yes.
Nobody, bro, when they try to train this, It's hilarious, y'all. You're watching people try to train this, and they're getting none of this level of success.
With what possible?
When they're trying to feed him and do it, it's not working. I bet you some dogs can do it like that. We need to get him locked in.
We are
and
so
now I'm telling you.
I appreciate it. It's good. It's good energy. I appreciate it. Thank you. But it's funny because this gets looked down upon. But it's because it's just how people think. Shh, keep it PG over there. But energy, body language, physicality. When you talk their language, that's why it's so quick.
Yeah.
Right.
He gets it now. He's ready. He's not looking at the leash, looking at the collar, like, oh shit, don't put it on me. No, he's with it. He's like, I'm about to go for a walk. He's with it, more than the prong. The prong collar,
he's a little anxious.
Is that what we notice sometimes his head is like down.
Yeah.
Like when we put
But his tail is out. So he's anxious, he's under stress, but he's not like overwhelmed. And I actually just saw a video earlier on TikTok or something where some lady was like, you never want to see your dogs licking their lips and yawning and panting and like this. And I go, I do. Because it means what we're doing means something. Because you only stress about the important stuff. Right? You only stress about the important stuff. So when people mistreat people, it's usually because they don't really care about them. You don't mistreat those or things you care about. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing here for him. If he's like, man, consequence, physicality, like all this stuff, he's like, oh shit, this means something now.
Paying attention, he's thinking about it. Yeah.
So like other trainers that use e-collar, because I get a lot of people that already done e-collar with other trainers. And they're like, if it was the tool, then there'd be a lot more success everywhere, right? But I'm fixing other dogs from other trainers, even though it was e-collar. And one of the things that they struggle with is low-level e-collar, where dogs are like 8 to 10 or something. Right, and then exactly, you're like, what? That's not gonna work, right? But it's because I get it. They're so concerned about the dog, right? They're so concerned, like, oh, I don't want to like make the dog stress or anything. I'm like, but you have to, in order for it to mean something. Like the working number, right? We found what's appropriate to him. Earlier, I was with the Husky. 80 was the working number, okay? And I could have. Is he still here? No, he left. There's a dog. He's a Berner Wilder here. Friendly, social. His number's like in the 90s, but he takes it like a champ. Like he's just like, all right.
That's why it's up there.
That's what he needs. Every dog is different.
Sometimes when we zap him or tap him, he like does this head thing and he growls like he's trying to shake.
Oh yeah, it's just frustration.
Yeah. Is he farting? Is that what
Is he farting?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got gas, bro?
Is that? I always worried like, is he getting angry? Is he gonna?
No, that's frustration.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it's definitely in response to the stim, but it's frustration. Okay. So we just work them through it. Okay. It's not going to make the dog something that they're not. Is what I always tell people. Right. So when I get dogs that look stable, but then they become anxious, I'll tell the owner your dog was actually already anxious. It's just you never saw your dog under stress, because that's when those things come out. Like some people naturally, like I think anxiety in the human world is probably like the most common thing that people struggle with. When they get stressed, they get anxious. And so like after I got this dog bite, and then there was another one, I had a super friendly dog that I had trained when he was a puppy and stuff, and he jumped, and I literally like fucking like lost my shit.
Yeah. Just went through that.
So my anxiety spiked, and I was like, you're a dumbass. Like, this dude's the biggest dope, right? And then I just noted to myself, like, I got to get over this. And I get it every now and then. If a dog moves too quickly, like it'll just kind of trigger, but then it just goes away real quick because I've already learned how to recover. Yeah. So same thing for dogs. I work through it. Same thing here. That's a stressor. But then what happens is if people bring them to a threshold and they feel too bad about it and they do it less, up and tip.
Oh yeah. Say with me, bro.
Tip. There you go. Is they don't bring the dog over the threshold. So then they're constantly stressing their dog out, but then going softer so the dog never pushes over. You know what I'm saying?
Do you mean by like in terms of the number of the?
In terms of the exposure.
Oh.
So like they'll only use the collar when the dog's really bad, as opposed to every single opportunity like tap, 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 tap. Like the only way you're gonna get over this is by exposing them more. Okay, same thing for people. When I first learned how to drive, I was anxious. I was like, what if I get in a car crash and my family dies? It's my fault, But now I go like 90 on a 70 because now I'm comfortable with it. So same thing for dogs. If we expose them in the beginning, it causes stress. It's normal. it's lots of discipline now because we're teaching something. But then as he gets trained, it's less discipline because now he's being conditioned. But then it's also more exposure to like Petco, the walks, the dog beach, right? And all of a sudden that starts to balance things out. So, but it's everybody's different. But with these turns, when you're communicating clearly, so heel, walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. Heel tells him, pay attention. Your job, make sure he's paying attention, which is typically number. 2, communicate clearly. Because you're leading now. Okay, you're the leading dancer here. So if you're not communicating clearly, he doesn't know what to do. If you stop abruptly, boom, he's gonna go. Technically, you would correct that, but technically that's on the handler.
Slow down to tell him what you was about to do.
Exactly. Okay, so we always want to make sure that we're doing that. So a couple of things that the most common problems that people have is they'll say like, oh, Jesse, the dog's not stopping with me. I go, then you're probably not slowing down or you're probably too low. Okay?
Yeah.
It's one of those two things, almost always. Okay? Questions on any of that? Let's go ahead and swap handlers so she can try these turns. We're going to start first with those crossovers. Good, and go ahead and give them some more slack here. There you go. Yeah, and then relax. Good, so you're gonna start with the crossover, which is gonna be the right, left, right, 90-degree cut, making that square shape, okay?
Okay.
So heel, left leg.
Heel. Heel.
So that's left leg, okay? But you see what I said?
I start thinking about it too much.
Okay.
Right, left, you got it, right, just power through. There you go, good. Better, but you want to slow down first, okay? But that was better. Right, left, right, there you go, good. So that's a pivot. You're doing only left turns. Don't break the rules now. Right, left, yeah, just power through, right. You got it, good job. Right, left, right, you got it, good. Couple more. Good. Almost. Okay. So you could have just kept forward with your movement and just turned on your right. You would have been fine. It's because you tried to force it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Take extra steps.
Yep. Extra steps. There you go.
Take a bunch of slow steps.
Because right there he actually stopped. Did you see that? So then she could have just compensated and just kept forward, and then you would have been just fine. But in the beginning, you're thinking so much, it's kind of like, oh shit. Right, there you go. That's okay. Now slow to a stop there. Perfect, okay? So main thing is commit, okay? As long as once you're in it, you're in it. Even if it's wrong, okay? It's just commit and power through. And use your body if you have to move him out the way.
So it's not right like this, it's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because you're starting that square. Boom.
I see.
Boom. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, and then lightly up on your leash. Here goes. Good. So if I start to turn, so the crossing over that we saw earlier, the way we fix that is with the left turn. Okay, because now we're moving into his space. So what can happen is, one, you'll start to see him right there when you said, he anticipated, because you saw him naturally pivot. That's because he's starting to pick up, like he was able to do it earlier smoothly, but now he's going, oh, this is a thing. So then he starts to naturally pivot with you, right? So he's kind of advancing his concept of it. But let's say if I'm walking with Jack and he's just cutting in like this, what we do is we randomly cut in, boom, 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 like this. So, because if I tap him, if he's coming in like this, tap means come closer.
It's like what?
It's going to just push him in more. So we have to teach him, we have to balance it out. So collar corrects him, but tells him to come in closer. But if he's too close, we have to come in, pow, and this tells him too close. So he goes, oh, there is such a thing as too close. I want to find a nice little pocket, right? So within 6 inches is what I usually give the dog, with the right shoulder, left leg, okay? So there, if you ever see that, just kind of like with the, when he passes you, how you abruptly pivot, it's the same thing here. If you're starting to cut in, just take your time and set yourself up, and then boom, come in and randomly or abruptly cross over, because it's a correctional turn as opposed to a communicated turn, okay? So now we're gonna do the pivots. That's gonna be the left, right, left, going to the immediate right, okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Heel.
Good. Good. Just a couple more. Good. And last one. Good. And slow to stop. Good. Now you're going to do those turns randomly.
Okay.
You pick and choose. Okay?
Heel.
Good. Just power through. Good. I think that was an abrupt turn. That's why you kept going. Now that one, you did your job, but that was correct. You just powered right through. Good pivot. Yep. Good pivot. Crossover. Good. Good. And slow to stop. Perfect. So the 3-step slowdown is like, in most cases, the perfect slowdown. But always feel free to take as much as you need to. Because if he's matching your pace, it just allows you to kind of process and time your movements. So what I suggest in the beginning is same, you said what's like the number he's like kind of perfect at, if you will?
38.
Okay.
Yeah, 38, 40, 38. In there is, he doesn't have any issues. The only time I had to jump to 45 was one time.
Okay.
And then I went back down for the same.
Yep. So
40-ish.
I would just start our walks at 40 then.
All right.
Okay. So yeah. So the first week we would start low, work our way up, right? And for this exact reason, because if that's why I'm like, what number was he perfect? Like around 38-40. I'm like, perfect. We just started 38-40 now. So now we're starting that walk perfect from the get-go. Because dogs will take that 10 to 40 range to act the fool.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're just coming out like, okay, now we mean business, right? Because it's a super common complaint. Oh, Jesse, the dog's terrible for the first 20 minutes, and then once I hit 40, they're perfect. I'm like, then just start at 40. Okay? So you start at 40, let him do his potty break, get that out the way. And what I suggest in the beginning is 5 heels to stops, 5 heels to crossovers, and then 5 heels to pivot turns, okay? To warm yourself up, and then you start your walk. So you're gonna do something similar to this, okay? The hard part is gonna be on the walk, now you gotta time these movements. I'm walking, oh, I'm gonna make a left at this red light, right? You gotta slow down and then turn so to keep it as fluid as possible. So once you get this down packed, you don't have to do the warm-ups anymore. Like for me, because I've been doing this for 10 years, I can't do it the wrong way. It feels weird for me to try to lead. Like even when I walk normally, I'll turn like this. You know, it's just too conditioned. So once you get it, not a problem. It's just a part of you, and then you'll always use that when you walk in a heel with Jack. if Jack is in a loose leash walk, just like being Jack and enjoying his free time, these movements have no bearing there, okay, because he's on a loose walk.
It's a work walk.
Yes, heel is strict, okay, right shoulder, left leg. So people ask like, hey Jesse, how far ahead can my dog get in the heel? 0. Heel is not about, because people go like, well, I don't really need my dog here, I just need him not to pull that much. I'm like, that's too complicated for a dog. They're either pulling or they're not pulling. Keep it simple, okay? So once you've cued the heel, so technically if you walk out with Jack and you don't say anything, technically you can do this until you cue heel. And that's your official on switch. Last week the on switch was when he felt that tap, okay? But now you would cue him first, then start your movement. I don't teach heel as a come to my side. Heel is stationary to motion. Yes, okay? If Jack is peeing here on the side because I gave him permission and he's done, heel, and I can move forward because he's coming directly to my leg. If Jack were on my right side and I said heel, too complicated because he's on the opposite side of where heel is. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if he were peeing here, I would want to do this, heel, boom. So then he's here. Okay.
You turn around, but make sure to go that way first.
Correct.
So he's on your left side.
Exactly. Okay. We only say heel when we go from stationary to motion. So like every time you come to a stop, he automatically sits. Wait a moment. Heel. Now we're moving again. If he gets ahead of me, I wouldn't say heel and turn. I just turn and tap. I just cue once. Okay. If we're doing a turn, I don't say heel. I don't say left. I don't say right or anything like that. It's all communicated through body language. Okay. In time, the exception to this is, so earlier I mentioned when you move forward left leg, it means to walk with you, that's the body language cue. So this week, every time stationary to motion, you'll always say heel because you're conditioning Jack, okay, to recognize what the word is and to build his concept. A couple of months, let's say Jack's spot on with the heel. Once you've cued it and you've initiated the command, you come to a stop, he sits, you wait a moment, you start walking again, you technically don't have to say heel.
He knows what
he's in the command already, yeah, and you're moving with that left leg. So unless you were to cue break and let Jack be free, then we have to reinitiate heel. Heel, boom, now it's back on again. Okay, so your new command overrides your old command. So for instance, let's say, up tap. Let's say Jack forgets the sit. And instead of tapping for the auto sit, you say sit, he's not in the heel anymore. He's in a sit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so sit is stationary. Sit means put your butt down, don't move. So if you were to start walking without cueing heel, technically Jack shouldn't move. Okay.
Still listen to what you said.
So it's a nuance. It's a little nuance because people will forget these things. Okay, so this is why I don't talk a lot with dogs because people just talk a lot naturally, but then also it's the little things like that will start to screw the dog up. Okay, so right now all we're worried about is heel and break, but as we teach more concepts, you're gonna start to notice these little nuances, and then like we have like daycare trains and we have some boarding trains here today. One of the most common things that happens is when we transfer the obedience, come back a couple weeks later and like the dog's not listening, and I'll have them show me what they're doing, all the body language is wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot to remember, you know, because you're getting this in pieces. They get it as one big cake, you know, so then they're trying to remember all these nuances. They're like, Jesse, the dog's not staying, the dog's not walking when I say heel, the dog's not doing this. I'm like, show me what you're doing. All the body language is off. And I'm like, the dog is technically doing the correct thing, but your mouth is saying one thing and your body language is saying another. Okay? So super simple. Make sure you cue the word heel. Once that starts, you want to put a direct end to it, of course, with the break release command. At that point, he's free to be a dog, do his doggy thing. Once you cue heel again, back to your hip. Okay? And if you say break and Jack is pulling you, it's going to have no effect or impact on your heel.
He's free, so he's not working anymore.
Yep, it's a defined end to the exercise because people are always concerned about that. If I let my dog pull me, is it going to work against the heel? I go, no. That's the purpose of the on and off switch. So he learns, okay, when heel happens, very strict, I have to do this. When I hear break, do what I want. Okay? Questions?
No.
Practice. It's about practice. I feel you.
Trying to think if there's anything else left with this. I think that's pretty much it. We got both the terms, we got the word. He's doing really well. Other than just think about how you want to approach people that approach you.
Yeah, that was a good one. Good advice. You gotta tell them, no. We're not fucking around right now.
We're having trouble with him in the car.
Oh, sure.
Can we didn't want to use the thing because we thought we were just on
Sure.
the walking part of using the collar. Can we use the collar?
What you do in the car?
We want to jump ahead to Unit 10.
Yep.
Only on Unit 2.
No, you're fine. What you do in the car?
He loses it. He just barks and howls.
There's
gets out of the seatbelt.
There will be a
There's two
stimulus somehow. He'll see a wacky waveable inflate or something, or another dog or something, and he'll start like barking towards them. But even after we've left, he's still hyped, and so then it'll bleed into him barking to something else. And then the worst one, the most consistent time, is when we have to go to the vet, which is right by her house. And if we're even picking up medicine or he gets like B12 shots, real quick little meetings. He's not doing no big vet thing. It's just real quick. But I go pick her up. She comes to the car. He starts losing his mind. He loves her. He starts trying to get at her from the front, losing his mind. He's got a seatbelt on, but he's trying to get out of it.
He gets out of it sometimes too.
He does,
And
because he'll
there's
accidentally press the button, and then the seatbelt will come out. The whole time, maybe a 5, maybe tops 7-minute drive. The whole drive to the vet, he's going.
Okay.
We get to the parking lot, he goes bigger. Once he goes in, he comes out, he's an angel.
Yeah, it's really annoying when everyone's like, "Oh, he's such a great dog," and it's like he's an asshole.
Like you don't know. You don't know.
Does he just hop in with no permission?
No,
Hop in the car?
he does. Yep.
No, we always wait.
Yeah.
We always wait.
Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do is when you go out, have him have slack, have your remote ready, and one of you just opens the door. But don't say stay, don't say sit, don't say nothing. See what he does. Okay, so if you say wait, he's only waiting because you've said it. I want to see what he does when allowed to do his own things. You open the door, he hops in, you're gonna start remoting. Light pressure till he flushes out. You're gonna close the door. Open again, see what he does. If he hops in, tap, repeat. Maybe adjust your number if it keeps happening, obviously. Eventually you're gonna open the door and close, open and close it. He's just gonna sit there, he's not gonna do anything. Up, he hops in. Put him into his belt. Take your leash and tether it to something, like the headrest or the seat. There's if there's on my car, there's like the seatbelt thing, and I can just feed the leash through, and I can make a little knot and leave him with very little space, like 6 inches. Okay, so I don't want him choking, but there's slack. But in case he tries to move, he's not going to get far. Get in the car, turn it on. The moment he starts escalating, you're going to do what we did today. Okay? He's already in the kind of stationary position. You're just trying to address what's going on here. So when I went in and I pet him, right, and you just tapped him and he just shut up, right? That's what you're going to do. You're not going to say anything, right? And with you guys, because there's 2 of you, you would do this before you start driving. Because if he starts to escalate before you start driving, that's where the problem starts. Okay? Because if you're already in that motion, he's going to be harder to de-escalate. Tap him, right? In the 3-tap rule, no change in 25, 30. Tap, 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 no change, 35. You could be up in the hundreds, okay? And then finally you hear them, bah! And then this, okay? And then you go. Okay, then you bring down that number, because now you broke through the anxiety. You bring down the number, to 40, his typical working number. And anytime he responds to something, boom. If he gives too big of a response, too much power, go down lower. I might go in the 25-ish range from what I learned today, okay? So what you're teaching him is you don't need to escalate for this. And eventually you're gonna just hop in the car, he's gonna be fine. Okay, so what you're doing is, because remember, this teaches what to do and what not to do. Okay, so you're saying don't, bark, don't whine, don't run around, and you can tap running around. You're disagreeing with the excitement. Okay, like my mom used to do it to me when I was a kid. Yep. If I get too loud and too amped up, no, not in the house. If you're gonna do that, take it outside or not at all, right? Same thing here. You're like, yo, we're in the car. No, it's not gonna happen. Okay? And then once you get out to open the car and stuff, again, if he escalates, before you move to the next step, you correct him and de-escalate him. Then we move next step. Okay? So I don't let him out the car until he's like this. And I unclip him. Okay, cool. Did I take off the leash? You're still good. Cool. I unbuckle him. He starts to amp up. Tap. Right? I wouldn't just go like, all right, whatever. We're almost done anyways. Right? Because if you do that, you leave a little pocket. And then you're always going to struggle with that pocket. Okay? But that stuff you can do. You can use this to correct him for things you don't want if he's on a leash or in an enclosed area. Okay? Because the concern is if you're at the park and he's off leash and you tap him for like goose poop, is you scare him away. Okay? That's the concern. Yeah. So when he's on a leash or if he's in an enclosed area or secure, you can use the e-collar to stop behaviors you don't want. Okay? Anything else?
Man, let's make you more famous, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, we could sit here and tell you right now about a meeting that we had with a positive reinforcement trainer.
Oh my God, it was a joke.
It's just a joke. It was after we came here. Before we came here, we had done all this
We were
stuff.
on a waiting list, and they said, "Hey, come on over. We're ready for you." And we're like, "Okay." So we come.
And we had just
we were there
seen,
for
we've
like
already
30
seen him
minutes.
do great. He was already doing great.
30 minutes, he tore through his leash and 2 toys, and the lady gave us nothing to do, and it was just embarrassing.
What was she trying to do?
Nothing.
Okay,
She was useless.
So this was apparently a consultation, even though we already went through the 3-week waiting period and we had booked a bunch of sessions, and so we were like, we thought that this was the first session. Whatever. We get in there. She takes us to a room, and yeah, you know, she said, okay, get him off the leash. See what he does. He was sniffing around, and then he came up to her. He liked her. It was fine. Then she didn't really do anything. Like she didn't commit
Nothing at all.
to anything. It seemed like there was something that she wasn't saying. Like, I don't know if your company booked you on this and they fucked up and you don't normally do this, but it seemed like she knew what she was doing though. So it's like, well, why isn't this a session? She was suggesting there's an intake process that normally we do, and Jen's looking at me like, I filled out all this. I filled out all the intake stuff. I listened to your company and did what they said. Yo, it was not any kind of a way, in my opinion, to handle a new customer. When we came here, the first time you met us, it was this. It was respectful. It was absolutely, you were asking questions, seeing what, and that was a consultation. Even if we were at a consultation, she's supposed to be asking questions.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the case.
No, she clearly was not really trying to figure it out. And
then he had a
When he-
meltdown.
So, yeah,
And
so-
then she had no recommendations for it.
he was chewing the leash.
And I said, "What do I
And
do?"
Jen popped it. She said, no, sit. He sat. She said, chill. He laid down, he chilled. And then the lady said, you know, well, he's overstimulated. Or she said anxiety. He has anxiety.
She said he needs doggy Prozac was her recommendation.
She said when he bites the leash, what do you think it's doing when you know, get mad at him, when you yell at him and go like that? And Jen was like, because he did what she wanted. She was like, all right. So then he started chewing the leash again. And he's quick when it comes to chewing through stuff.
And then
so she's watching, and she didn't really tell Jen anything. And Jen's like, well, what are you gonna tell me?
You just told me not to do it.
Not 1 minute, 30 seconds or something. The leash is chewed through, and we didn't have another one. And she was like, okay. And
It was a joke.
it was a joke. Jen remembers, she said, okay, well, I have one in the car. And then like the lady was like, okay, well, I'll loan you a leash to get to the car. I was like, you'll loan me one? I mean, we booked this for $500.
But
You know what I'm
what's
saying?
crazy to me is that we're here for an hour with him, with you, and nothing like that has happened. We
Yeah,
were there for
nothing.
30 minutes. She brought in 2 toys, ripped the toys apart, ripped the leash apart.
And don't judge these sessions. This is a session. The consultation that we had with you was beautiful. Was you recognized what to do, and you know, you showed me that you knew what to do, and we had the whole talk, consultation, questions, everything. If that was a consultation, why did she do that? Yeah, just a mess. Offered us nothing to continue to move forward.
Sure.
We're gonna address that, right?
Yeah, that's why I said tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because that's just awareness stuff. I have like hyper awareness just because I'm working a dog so long, where I'll hear this and I'm like, okay, it needs to be addressed. But for the average dog owner, we get stuck in the conversation, or whatever.
Crazy, bro.
So this is why I don't get certified, because those people they're probably certified, right?
Certified stupid. I lost my
I mean,
I
this is
lost it.
famous companies. Like, This is the first shit you come up with on Google. I can't remember which company.
I did not have the patience for her.
Yo.
Yeah.
She was pissed.
I was like,
pissed.
what are we doing here, miss?
That's why, because people always ask, like, what's your certification? I'm like, 10 years of experience and happy customers.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't get a certification intentionally because of that reason. You know, people unfortunately fall into that kind of rabbit hole of like, oh, like you're a certified CPDT with a blah, 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 right? And like all these fancy things, but they can't even just stop a dog from whining.
She couldn't, clearly.
She couldn't
We canceled everything.
address anything that was happening. She had the stick thing, and she had him follow me around. It was like she was doing her job with learning how the dog was gonna act, and like being in the room with him. Okay, this dog is not gonna attack me. It's a new dog, so I get that. But other than showing me that she's clearly a dog person, she didn't offer anything. And we had sessions booked. We were just on a waiting list. This is before we came to you. We got on.
Yeah, sure, and it just happened to happen, yeah. Did you get your money back?
Yeah.
She did.
They
Okay.
didn't want to work with us.
How about this? You sent the email, right? You know, we're gonna go a different direction, you know, say whatever. They didn't even email back. They just gave the money back. Nobody ever said anything. It was
Jesus.
a famous ass company. Like, how you treating me like this? You know, terrible.
Yeah.
You used to it.
Yeah, no, it's.
But I
peop-
recognized how, like you said, they don't have a no. So like, she didn't have anything to tell me to do with him because she didn't have an answer. There was
Yeah.
no no.
The answer was drug your dog.
That's
Yeah.
what she was saying.
So the dog that I said right now, he's special treatment.
Sure.
He was on 3 different types of drugs: gabapentin, fluoxetine, and doggy Prozac or something. And dog tried to attack me 3 times. Not 3 times, several times the first lesson. Okay. And veterinary behaviorist, veterinarian, like all this stuff, right? Spend a lot of money. 3 years trying to find an answer. They see me, we do 1 class. She comes back class 2. And she goes, Jesse, she's like, I took him to the vet. It's the first time in 3 years they didn't have to sedate him.
Wow. I hate that that was what they suggested.
It's crazy, huh? But the thing is too, that her veterinarian who suggested all this stuff and then also judged her because she walked in with these tools, right?
Right.
And then she's like, look, you won't board my dog. You're not giving me answers that are working.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah, what else
right?
would you do?
So I was like, it's funny how that works, right? That they're going to judge you and all this stuff, and they're not even helping you take care of your dog. That's why he's here. We're boarding him, right? So he's been muzzled for 2 days because we don't know. We're still caring for him and all that stuff. He's been fine. So today we unmuzzled him. But Elias here has only been here for like 3 to 4 weeks, so he's new. So we're like, he was muzzled for the first half. Unmuzzled for the first half of the day because we were experienced. Second half of the day, he's muzzled because Elias doesn't know,
Sure.
right? But that's why. But we put him back there because now we're learning him. We're getting his trust and stuff. But she was like, "Oh, can I board him?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "We get dogs like that all the time. Like, it's not a problem." But you know, everybody was like, "Oh, don't do e-collar, don't do this, it'll make the dog worse." Blah 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 blah, right? And then finally, she's like, "I got to do something because this dog for 3 years, it's crazy."
She went 3 years. We went 10 months. He's pretty unique, but we did the same thing. Going, trying to do things that everybody says. Yo, this is a tool. The way that I look at the e-collar is the same thing as if you had a flat collar and you.
Just pop him in the leash.
It's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
not any different than that.
Yeah.
It's correction. And that lady that we went to, Pooch, that lady that we went to, she didn't correct anything. Nothing.
She didn't do.
They didn't have any
nothing.
corrections, and that was the thing. They could tell that we were at the point where we were asking for corrections, and they had nothing. She had nothing to say.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
Well, and just because we use these tools, right? A trainer uses these tools again doesn't make them a good trainer. You guys, I don't want to say are lucky, but you came to me, you found me. But I did a consult earlier, and they did find a balanced trainer. And this is the first I've ever heard of this, but she like just cranked the dog all over the place, and like he had a pinched nerve or something. Now he's going to physical therapy, like all this stuff. That dude is off the rocker too. But I was just like, it sucks because they went from force-free for a long time, positive only, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go try something new now, like much like you guys did, but they got the wrong person. And then they went to another guy who's supposed to, she was like the best of the best, but that he was saying to euthanize the dog. And I was just like, well, one, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you to euthanize your dog. And I'm like, he's not the best of the best because the best of the best is right here.
Right, straight up. Like, I don't know who you're talking about. You know?
But yeah, it's crazy though. You know, unfortunately, anybody, and I did this too, so it's like, you know, tongue in cheek. Anybody can say they're a dog trainer. Okay, that's what I did. But I did that to get experience. I used to go to humane societies, shelters and stuff, and I was like, hey, I'm a dog trainer, blah, 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 right? I work with aggressive dogs, which was lying. But I did it to learn. And then I went out and I studied more, and I came back and I practiced more, and I came back. And when I worked with a client, I started doing my own business. I used to be $25 an hour.
Oh, shit.
A little too late, man.
Yeah.
So when I would work with the client, if I didn't get the result, I'd say, look, you're not going to pay today. I'll be back next week, right? So because the knowledge, the failures was the payment. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to develop these skills.
Building up your profile.
So anybody can unfortunately say they're a dog trainer, but then they don't put in the time and effort to be open-minded and do the research and practice and fail and all that stuff. You know how many times I've seen people, they pay for a trainer for a result and they're paid thousands. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I would ask for my money back. Yeah. I'm like, if I pay a plumber to fix my pipes, if I pick the electrician to fix my lighting, I expect it to be fixed. Okay? So it's the same thing here. That's how I approach my job. I go, and we have a couple of cases that are difficult right now. And I'm like, I still fulfill that same mentality of like, if I don't make a considerable change, I'm not going to charge you for it. Yeah. You know, but for me, it's super, super rare because I've been doing this for 10 years now. You know, this is for me every day. These kind of cases are so common, but it's because nobody wants to discipline them.
Right. They don't want to say no.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. You told me in the consultation, you don't have any no's. I didn't even know that I didn't have any corrections. I'm trying to reward and distract and saying yes, yes, yes. I didn't say no, don't do that. I had no way to do that.
Yeah.
Yo.
But that's the world now. No, you're welcome. That's why I'm here. So if you guys need anything else, you let us know. Otherwise, great job. He's doing really well. Next class, we're most likely going to start on recall.